Druski has dropped countless skits and gone viral more times than we can count. But this one? It blew up in seconds. And what he reveals next will stop you in your tracks. Meet Druski, real name Drew Desbordes, the comedian who turned social video sketches into a cultural movement. He didn't get here by luck. He built a loyal audience by flipping everyday moments into quick hits that feel so real they almost make you squirm, yet you can't help but share them. From chaotic Instagram lives to TikToks that seem engineered for your For You page, his trademark is humor with a sting of truth. You laugh at the bit, then you catch yourself thinking, that's actually spot on. That accuracy pushed Druski beyond funny creator into cultural narrator. His work doesn't just trend, it starts conversations. Long before this mega-church bombshell, he'd already conquered multiple lanes. Could have been records, roasted the music industry with fake auditions and mint-ready memes. His corporate office spoofs nailed the awkwardness of workplace life so precisely that everyone saw their boss, or themselves, in the joke. And those neighborhood characters, the friend who knows everybody, the guy who can get anything, turned local quirks into nationwide punchlines. These weren't just viral clips, they became reference points. So when Druski dropped a new sketch set in a mega church, viewers didn't just watch. They braced for a bigger statement. They were right. This one didn't just go viral, it detonated. Picture the opening. Druski strolls into a fictional megachurch that looks more like an arena campus than a Sunday sanctuary. There's a bustling cafe that might as well be a Starbucks, stadium-style seating, and a production crew ready to shoot a Netflix special. The jokes land fast, comparing worship to a Broadway show, riffing about bullet-pointed communion, and roasting merch tables stacked with devotionals and hoodies. It's hilarious precisely because it's familiar. Across the U.S., many megachurches operate like well-oiled nonprofits with CFOs, marketing teams, and run-of-show schedules. Pre-pandemic studies pegged the average attendance for large churches at around 4,000 a weekend, with median budgets in the multi-millions and a strong tilt toward multi-site campuses. 7 or 8 services per weekend weren't uncommon, and investment in tech, cameras, lights, streaming became the default. The look Druski parodies isn't fantasy. It's Sunday reality for millions. Then comes the turn, quiet but cutting. The camera drifts off stage and down a side hallway. Suddenly, you're looking at a food distribution table ready for families, a tutoring circle grinding through algebra, a pop-up station checking blood pressure, a volunteer board asking for weekday drivers to deliver groceries. The shock isn't that Sunday feels like a show. It's that the same precision behind that show powers community service the rest of the week. That contrast, spotlight to service, is the heartbeat of the sketch. It's also the hinge where comedy becomes commentary. If you're wondering why the piece feels almost documentary-level true, the landscape explains it. The U.S. is home to well over 1,000 Protestant megachurches, congregations drawing thousands weekly. Before 2020, average attendance in the flagship studies hovered near the 4,000 mark, a scale that demands professional logistics. Median budgets were reported in the neighborhood of $5 million, almost entirely funded by attendee giving. And a strong majority of these churches commissioned independent CPA audits each year. Yes, the CFO jokes have receipts. About 7 in 10 megachurches ran multiple campuses, and the average schedule included 7 or 8 weekend services. That's not theatrics so much as traffic control and volunteer sustainability. By 2020, nearly 6 in 10 self-identified as multiracial, reflecting demographic shifts and intentional leadership strategies. In other words, headsets, countdown clocks, merch racks, and coffee bars aren't outliers. They're the center of gravity for large U.S. churches. So, when Druski pokes fun at the show, the punchline lands because audiences recognize the stagecraft. Still, the sketch's most revealing move is what happens midweek. Beyond the lights and cameras, many churches do double duty as social service hubs. National surveys have long shown that a significant share of congregations run or support food distribution programs. And that's just the start. Emergency aid, ESL, tutoring, mentoring, re-entry support, and health outreach are common fixtures. The model is simple: low barriers, high trust, local reach. That's why you see pantry tables, schoolwork spread across folding desks, and pop-up clinics in fellowship halls. It's also why the bit travels across echo chambers: viewers who roll their eyes at the fog machine, and viewers who cheer the excellence both pause when they see groceries, blood pressure cuffs, and backpacks. The show might be the hook, but the service is the part that sticks. There's a broader context to why this landed right now. Since 2020, the line between pews and pixels has blurred. Hybrid participation is normal. 40% of American adults now say they engage in services at least monthly, whether they're walking into a building, tapping a live stream, or doing both. That shift rewards churches that look broadcast-ready, the precise aesthetic Druski teases, and it complicates the scoreboard debate. What counts as attendance? Heads in seats? Unique viewers? Both? Pre-pandemic, many large churches were expanding, adding services and campuses in response to demand. Then COVID scrambled the numbers. Some recovered to or beyond 2019 in-person totals. Others didn't. Nationwide weekly attendance remains below levels from 2 decades ago. Yet the big church category remains sizable, and their digital reach often dwarfs in room counts. Druski wisely skips that argument and asks a sharper question. With whatever scale you have, what are you doing for people? Diversity is another reason the sketch resonates. By 2020, close to 6 in 10 megachurches describe themselves as multiracial. That reality shapes Sunday, music sets, stage teams, languages, and Monday. Who gets served, where programs are launched, which neighborhoods partner. The wider the network, the easier it becomes to stand up tutoring in one zip code, a clinic in another, and a pantry that crosses language lines across town. Comedy becomes an X-ray here. Druski isn't dunking on faith from 30,000 feet. He's noticing the nuts and bolts. In-ear monitors, tight stage cues, color-coded run sheets, kids check-in bottlenecks, the merch wall you pass on the way out, seamless camera transitions for the live stream. If a big church sometimes feels like a live TV taping, there's a reason. Budgets in the millions, crowds in the thousands, multi-campus choreography, and a slate of 7 or 8 weekend services don't happen by accident. He isn't inventing a circus, he's describing a system. And when he turns that corner, from spotlight to service, he taps into what most Americans say they notice: churches pulling people together and helping those in need. The pantry tables, the tutoring sessions, the pop-up health checks. Those aren't props, they're proof. The sketch still leaves room for skepticism. Earlier jokes about money and branding echo a persistent concern that churches can look too focused on power or too heavy on rules. That's exactly why the clip crosses tribes. Production enthusiasts and production cynics can agree on this much. When the comment section shifts from "Wow, those lights" to "Wow, those volunteers," the conversation is getting healthier. Factor in that almost half of congregations engage in food ministry, and that religion continues to draw the largest slice of U.S. charitable giving. And the raw material for local impact is clearly on the table. With the right backbone, audits, schedules, trained teams, the same machine that runs a crisp Sunday can move groceries, mentors, and medical help where they're needed by Tuesday. Think of a big Sunday service, then, as more than worship. It's an attention engine. It concentrates people, organizes time, and builds trust. The same playbook that choreographs parking crews, security checks, worship transitions, kids pickup, and sermon timing is the playbook that runs food lines, benevolence appointments, ESL classes, after-school programs, and mobile clinics. This isn't about glorifying the Polish. It's about understanding why the logistics exist. Decades of analysis show a deliberate pattern. Go big on Sunday, then go small all week, multiplying small groups and local ministries to keep the human scale intact. The sketch lets you chuckle at the stagecraft while sensing the spreadsheets of needs, the calendars of care, and the teams trained to move a crowd and a pallet with equal calm. Public sentiment helps decode why the video sparked both applause and criticism. Many Americans still say churches have a positive effect on the country and recognize their role in strengthening community bonds and helping the poor. At the same time, majorities also tell pollsters they worry about money, power, and an overemphasis on rules or politics. That ambivalence is exactly what Druski stages with his two-act design. First the show, then the serve. It nudges a better question. Not, is there a show? But, what's the show for? And since the skit winks at the CFO with spreadsheets, the money deserves context. Religion still commands the largest slice of U.S. philanthropy, sitting within a record year of overall giving in 2024. Yes, that share has slipped over the decades as other sectors grew, and inflation-adjusted religious giving has faced headwinds in some recent years. Both truths matter. The pipeline is massive, and expectations for transparency are higher than ever. Many large churches meet that bar with independent audits and impact reports that track every dollar to real outcomes, the very accountability Druski jokes about in passing. Behind the humor sits a serious reality. The lights may grab attention, the ledgers keep the mission moving. If you strip the skit down to its blueprint, you'll see why it exploded so fast. First, it spoke fluent internet. The footage looked exactly like what people already see in reels and live streams, so it felt native to the feed. Second, it honored complexity, showing both spectacle and substance, critique without contempt, credit without naivete, making it easy to share across tribes. Third, it echoed the facts on the ground. A nation with thousands of large churches, average crowds in the thousands, multi-million-dollar budgets, a heavy tilt toward multi-site, and multiple services, nearly half of congregations feeding neighbors, and a public that praises community help even as it side-eyes money and power. Finally, it recentered the metric. In the end, it's not about decibels or LED brightness. It's about lives touched, neighbors helped, needs met, hope made visible. It's also easy to stop at optics, the band, the lights, the fog machine. But follow the gaffer tape off stage on a Tuesday, and you're likely to find boxes packed for families, a whiteboard of hospital visits, a volunteer roster scribbled with phone numbers, and a quiet classroom where someone is learning English for a job interview. That's the shocking truth Druski surfaces. Scale can serve. Not flawlessly and not everywhere, but often enough to show up in both statistics and stories. Americans seem to understand that double exposure. Many still believe churches strengthen communities and help those in need, even as they keep an eye on money and power. So, yes, the sketch detonated. It captured the full picture with a smile. The fog machine and the food line, the headset and the helping hand, the spreadsheet and the soup ladle. Great comedy doesn't ask you to suspend disbelief. It asks you to widen it. That's Druski's gift here, using laughter to pull back the curtain, then letting the real work in the hallway speak for itself. What are your thoughts on the skit? Do you feel it crosses a line and mocks God? Or is it sharp satire pushing us to look deeper at faith and community? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and share for more updates.